a single or repeated act or lack of appropriate action occurring within any relationship where there is an expectation of trust, which causes harm or distress to an older person.
Often, seniors are being abused by their own family members. And seniors do not speak up, do not say anything for fear of retaliation.
The seniors' abuse is there, very much there. The kids using the, they take it for granted and they use them like the finances and then physically and psychologically, and also they also neglect them, many times. Yeah.
They think we are old, we are out of commission, and that we don't need anything. Our needs are very limited, and that's what creates the problems and senior abuse.
I hear lots of stories, and I witness the abuse of seniors, and it's hurt. It hurts the mind, it hurts the spirit, and it's hurt emotionally.
The issue of elder abuse is on the rise, particularly in Canadian seniors of South Asian descent living with their extended families. 25% of South Asian seniors aged 65 and over live with relatives such as their sons or daughters, while only 5% of all Canadian seniors live with their relatives.
Waves of immigrants have traditionally settled in these areas. They come and they go, and it's a constant changing dynamic. But what is important is who was left behind, because the people who had jobs, who found employment, who became settled, went. But the people who were struggling to eke out a living, the people who were older, stayed behind. Very little research in the past has been done on these specific communities. Research is usually done on the whole area of Toronto.
We conducted a research to understand the particulars and specifics of elderly abuse in South Asian community. The findings tell us they're not very different from the mainstream population, but there are certain particularities. If you actually take these characteristics and superimpose them on the South Asian community in general, you'll understand that when we talk about while females are more prone to be victims of elderly abuse, generally speaking, whether it's in the South Asian community or in the mainstream community, in the South Asian community, it's the females who carry the heritage culture. And as a result, they're basically put in a very difficult psychological situation because the heritage culture says the elderly have to be taken care of by the younger generation. And when this doesn't happen and abuse happens, then the abuse has much larger ramifications and much more hurtful ramifications.
Usually the parents or grandparents are brought to take care of the children when you have a young family.
Most of the time, it is considered that a parent is sponsored to Canada just to take care of the kids and to take care of the house.
Up to a certain extent, it is fine. But when they are not mobile and when there is health is not up to it, it becomes a problem.
We need to understand that there are health issues over and above what we see. So they may be elderly, frail, they can't walk and all that, but they also have chronic conditions that may be exacerbated by the abuse.
Our dignity says do it, and we physically cannot do it. So it's a big tussle individually in your own mind as well as in the social community. We try our best to stand up and think that, oh, we can accomplish everything. Maybe we cannot. And some of us feel shy to ask for help. Some of us feel that it's below our dignity to ask for help.
And when they are not able to do these kind of things, then becomes a clash and also a difficult situation in the house.
When I go to seniors groups, sometimes when we sit aside and have a little conversation, they'll talk about how they're like, well, they don't really need me anymore because the kids are all grown up. So they want to get rid of me now. They don't want me living here because they say there's no space in the house anymore. And it's just not fair.
There is no respect or dignity they find around living with their children.
Because of the high cost of housing and cultural constraints and taboos, many seniors are compelled to live with their children and grandchildren. Canadian seniors of South Asian origin have relatively low incomes, and as a result, may resort to living with extended family members.
Some of them, they cannot manage themselves, and they cannot find a place in a retirement home or seniors home. If seniors home, if they go there, they will get service every day. But because of vacancy, it's hard. You have to find a space for you to move there.
I've spoken with many seniors who are begging me and asking me as a member of parliament to help them find social housing that they can afford, where they can move out of their children's homes because they feel that they're a burden on their families. They feel like they're a burden because they're not providing enough income or support to the family, and they're treated like unwanted old person living around in my house.
Seniors living with their extended families are understood by service providers as seniors being looked after by their families. In their family, many seniors undertake many unpaid duties such as cleaning, childcare, housework, and cooking.
I think more than 150 or 80,000 people are waiting list.
80,000 people are
more than 100, yeah, they are waiting to get into our subsidizer. Right.
So where do they live now? They live with their families?
With the family, or they, struggling. They can't afford. For instance, if you want to move in my building, the waiting list about 9 to 10 years.
9 to 10 years.
Yes. And you can only move here if you are 59 and older. So if you have to wait for 59 to 69 and then you get a place here, lucky, yeah.
Wow.
By then probably you want to go to in a nursing home or some other places.
It's too late, right?
And there are some people here also, they want to go to nursing home, but there are no vacancies.
Data from a subset of police services in Canada show that the rate of family violence against seniors has increased by 14% since 2004. 7,900 seniors were victims of violent crimes alone between 2009 and 2011. This did not take into account other forms of abuse, such as financial, emotional, psychological abuse, and neglect. Of the 7,900 reports of violence, the perpetrators were likely to be family members or friends.
There was a direct correlation between violence in the heritage land or in the homeland and the kind of abuse the elderly are exposed to.
There's some seniors who get physically abused, physically assaulted, and don't talk to many people about it, will never report it to the police, because how could you? It's not in our culture for a family to be separated. Our seniors or our elders in our community are brought over from wherever they're coming from, wherever home is. It might be Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, whatever it might be. But in our culture, you respect your parents and you keep your parents with you because they took care of you throughout your life, and now it's your turn to take care of them.
Even though the seniors are not complaining, they think it's a family, and they consider it as a family. They live together, and they go through a lot of problems, I would say, which they wouldn't talk about.
It's hard sometimes if they are being abused, it's hard for them to talk to us if they don't know you. Unless you are very close, even some family being abused by another family member, they don't talk to the family as well, right? They don't discuss outside the family.
The elderly who have lived in Canada for less than 10 years and whose English isn't fluent, is an important issue, because when we do service provision, we need to be very careful how we talk with them, how we deal with them, be culturally sensitive to their needs. And then English is not necessarily a language of communication, and we need to be very careful about addressing them in a language they understand and they're comfortable with.
They don't know where to get help when they get sick. They cannot go to the doctor by themselves, and family don't have time for them, so they just, they don't have enough medication, so they don't know where to go and get help.
They need medication for diabetes, for blood pressure, for any problem that they may have, for chronic pain, arthritis, things they're not taken care of.
Another level of abuse that happens in our families is financial abuse, where our seniors, our elders are living in our homes and they're getting money, whether it's from their pensions from abroad, their pension from here, from working here, or if they're a low-income senior, then their guaranteed income supplement or the old age security. And the seniors don't get that money in their own hands or in their own bank accounts. The check comes and goes into the child, or the child who is an adult, who takes that money for living arrangements or food or whatever it might be. And the seniors don't have the freedom to do what they wish with their own money, the money that they're entitled to.
Lots of children abuse their parents by taking away their money, by spending it themselves, even though they get their own pensions from spending their money, from doing anything or buying anything they like, because the children like to control the old people.
They don't have enough money to even get food, and most of the money son or daughter-in-law they take.
Whatever we get is enough just for us to survive. So if we pass some of that money out to elsewhere, it's difficult to survive. And I have seen that happen with quite a few people.
Not having access to their own money, not being able to drive, and if you can't drive, you have to take public transit. And if you don't have money to be able to buy a bus pass, sure, seniors' bus passes are cheaper, but if you don't have that money to be able to buy it, then, and your child won't buy it for you, they don't have the freedom to leave their home whenever they want to.
For seniors, mobility and transportation becomes a very big handicap, because culturally they are really used to going either with their husbands or their children. And when they get married, have their own families, and there's no space, so they become just like an extra person, and causes difficulty, and also it causes sort of unnecessary ill feelings.
This pressure start to build up on a senior. Rather than he get or receive a support, he started to get down. And that really damaged the senior's personality.
As one of the problems for seniors is isolation, and feeling neglected is very, very common.
They feel extremely loneliness, and then sometimes they are just sitting and watching TV and nowhere they can go. So the problem is then thinking, then at the end they go in depression, and some feel like some do even suicide, even that we see one.
A lot of the abused elderly that we interviewed had this nostalgia to their homeland, and they strongly believe that being in their homeland would have made aging an easier process. It'd be interesting to make a comparison, to go back to the homelands and do the research and figure out whether that is true or not, because that is only nostalgia. However, that nostalgia has a big impact on the psychological well-being of the elderly. And again, when one has that kind of nostalgia and is abused, the abuse is magnified in many ways, and we need to deal with it within that context.
However, many Canadian ethnic media reports that seniors are silenced to maintain the respect and honor of their families, which ignores the other factors why seniors live with their extended family members.
There's so many people right today living as part of the sandwich generation. They have their young children to take care of, they have their seniors or their elders, their parents at home to take care of, and these people are stretched beyond belief in running their own lives, working, taking care of themselves, taking care of their children, taking care of their parents, these are all just healthy people. And imagine if there's a child or a parent who needs extra support for healthcare.
I, as a caretaker, would look after my mother from 24 hours from so many years. It takes a toll on me. I get migraine attack. I get so exhausted sometimes that I just want to knock myself away from everyone.
I think the children feel for those senior or older parents that if they are not able to do their own things or help them, then they feel that it is added responsibility.
Sometimes they are very busy in their own life because of the change of culture. If we are living in the Western culture, they have to do their jobs, they have to take care of their families, and that's why they are not able to give a proper care to the seniors too.
It could be a stress on the younger generation as well, that there is an added body in the house, and probably they themselves feel bad about it, but they cannot do anything about it.
No matter who you are, you should be treated with respect, and it doesn't matter what type of negative stimuli or negative environmental pressures that you have. You need to seek that help for yourself. If you don't know how to manage those priorities, or if you're having a hard time, then maybe you need to be taking that time for yourself, looking after your own mental health and mental wellness, and so you're not taking it out on the people around you negatively, whether it's your children or your elderly parents.
Canadian, the local Canadian people, yeah, they face this kind of abuse, then they come for this help. And even that, they don't themselves, like a neighbor or a friend finds out about that it's, there's kind of abuse going on, and they report, and then they get the help, But this thing is not present especially in the South Asian community. And people are bearing this silently, and they really don't think that it's an abuse. So we have to make this awareness and let them know this, you should not take it.
I know that culturally we protect the family, and it's important, especially in South Asian communities, to save face. And so that means you don't air your dirty laundry in public. Of course, nobody wants that. But for our elders who are in a difficult situation at home, please don't suffer in silence.
We have legislation that prohibits. We have zero tolerance abuse when it comes to seniors, but the seniors don't know. So if they live in an environment where they are being abused, they should know that there are laws, there is a regulation that protects our seniors. And we want them to know that. And our message to family members and seniors is, we are here, there are laws to protect you. Someone eventually will find out that a senior is being abused, and will come to our attention, and then the law will take over.
I know it's not our culture, it's not what we're used to, but there's a lot of support networks out there, confidential services also, where it's not going to be an issue of saving face. It's not going to be an issue of your community, your family's name being dragged in the mud in the community. There's a lot of services out there that will help you get out of that negative situation in a confidential manner by saving face, saving your family's face as well.
There's nothing demeaning about asking for help, and to all the social stigmas. I think that when we leave our countries and our social, our thing, some of these stigmas and some of these old-fashioned ideas, we should leave them behind.
need to understand that it is not enough to intervene when there is elderly abuse, but in the South Asian community, we need to start raising awareness and consciousness of this issue, because it is an issue that no one discusses, or when it's discussed, it's silenced, because it's really shameful to abuse elderly in many of the South Asian cultures and religions. And as a result, if it happens, everybody wants to stop it. We think that this research shows us that if we educate people, both the elderly themselves, the social service providers, and the policymakers, that this is an issue of importance, we will probably prevent a lot of it. And always prevention is better than intervention.
In schools, you have to create awareness regarding the respect and dignity, and to avoid the situation of seniors abuse. The awareness in children in the school.
When the generation change, when the resolutions come, when the societies change, the generations are educated. We have to educate this generation to stop this abuse.
We need to empower these seniors very much, very important. We have to take them out from their isolation, let them talk, let them talk about the problems, and let them know that there is help.
Seniors can get together, discuss their problems, where they can talk about it, and if form brotherhoods or sisterhood sort of thing, so that people can get together, discuss their problems, and get help where it is needed.
I've asked them to come to community centers, to take part in the community activities that each community has. We have it. We have a lot of community centers around here. But they are not encouraged to visit these community centers.
We need to let more people know what services are available. They are not actually aware. Awareness is not there to that extent.
There are many amazing organizations in our community that are senior run or run by other people that provide supports for seniors, which are amazing, doing fabulous work in building a sense of community for our elders, because instead of being isolated in their homes, they're now able to walk 10 minutes to a community center or something close by and be with their friends, be with people their own age, and relate and just have a good time, even if it's an hour a week, whatever it might be.
This way they share their joys and sorrows, or whatever they want to share, and build good relationship, and also the friendship with each other. And it satisfies and helps them emotionally and also physically, as they come out at least once a week and enjoy their life.
دور داشته باشه با او خاطر ما آرزو میکنم که سینیرها همیشه به تفریحگاه با جاهای دیدنی برن تا استرس و تشویششان از بین بروه.
We have a lot of activities. We have 3 clubs here in our building. It's a South Asian Social Club, Filipino Social Club, and Ovali Social Club. Every month or second month we have a program for them to keep them busy, so they have no excuse to sit in their apartment and watch TV all day.
We have provided a guide to assist communities and seniors groups to do exactly that. And I would urge you that you get a copy of this guide where all the program and services are elongated. This takes a lot of work. Takes a lot of work for us, for the ministry, but we do it because we understand that Ontario is home to 55% of all the immigrant seniors. So you can see we have this very large demographic taking place in our province. And we want to make sure that they avail themselves of the services and programs that we have in Ontario. That is why we go great lengths in providing the services in so many languages. Only this way the seniors and the family members can go through, and there is a wealth of information.
If anything, the children understand, other people understand, I think so will be the better life for the seniors.
As long as we have to live an active and productive life till the end of our days.
Despite the significant presence of South Asian elders in Canada, data specifically concerning the occurrences and experiences of elder abuse in this population remains largely absent. This documentary, In My Own Family, brings views of stakeholders and seniors with regard to seniors' treatment in their families.